It's my pleasure to be joined by our three featured guests. Priya Junnar is the director of the Marian Minor Cook Athenaeum. Jill Stark is the former director of the Marian Minor Cook Athenaeum and former First Lady of CMC. Priya is the current First Lady of CMC. And John Faranda, class of 79, is our ambassador at large of the college and a friend and a colleague who's been with us for quite some time. So with that, John, I will hand the program over to you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Evan. I'm going to share my screen if that works. Can you see that now? Oops.
Yes.
Is that working? Great. So thank you very much. John Faranda. I've been at the college 36 years now. I graduated in 1979, which means my freshman year, we were all men. And then my sophomore year, the first women arrived on campus. And the Athenaeum is one of my favorites. It's so great to be able to share some of this history with you today. The founding president of CMC, George Benson, and his wife, Mabel, lived in an old house at the corner of 9th and Columbia. This is the old house. The Bensons used to have every student over for dinner and kind of created a family living room situation there. When Jack Stark became president, he and his wife Jill, our next speaker, already owned a house in Claremont, and so they turned the president's house into the Athenaeum. In part, they did that by adding on a library and a dining room, which you can see here in this beautiful courtyard that was laid out with California olive trees. Here's a picture of the inside of the old Athenaeum dining room. You see it only sat about 36 people, but a scene of a lot of fun dinners and presentations. I'm happy to say that my mom was treasurer of the Parents Club, which is the precursor to the Parent Network. They did a fundraising campaign for the chandelier that you see here hanging from the Athenaeum ceiling. Here's one of the old place settings, a little different china than we have today, but you'll notice that the silverware carries on. The program that the Starks introduced for the Athenaeum was very successful, and soon the old Athenaeum President's House was outgrown. The college started a campaign in 1980 to build a new Athenaeum, which was designed by Quincy Jones, a famous Southern California architect. Fortunately, Marian Minor Cook stepped forward to help fund the project. Here's Donald and Bernice McKenna. Donald established a fund to help endow the program with our next speaker, Jill Stark. Here's Marian Minor Cook, who donated the funds for the new Athenaeum building, and Jack Stark, who graduated from CNC in 1957, and was president for 29 years. The new Athenaeum quickly became popular with all sorts of activities and events. You can see here an evening in Vienna from 1988 with the dance floor here and the college orchestra all wearing their black ties, quite elegant. Here's a fun madrigal feast. We used to have some madrigal dinners that the concert choir did for us. You can see in the background here, the king and queen and the singers. Right here, you'll notice Mrs. Stark. And of course, I'm down on my knees in front of Mrs. Stark conferring with her about something. I threw this picture in because I think it's interesting to see that the new Athenaeum dining room actually divided into two parts. You can see this wall along here with, yeah, we didn't use it very often, no. And then because I know we're really talking today about food and recipes, I found this original catering brochure from the Athenaeum and thought you'd enjoy seeing some of the catering options for dinners that were served at the Athenaeum back then. I think I would like some turf and surf for $15. And of course, we all love the homemade Athenaeum cheesecake. I noted that they charged 30 cents extra for the cheesecake. And if you wanted fruit sauce on it, that was an extra 25 cents. Quite interesting. Some fun many fun meals eaten at the Athenaeum. Here's one of the chargers for the new program at the Athenaeum. And here we go. It's a chance for me now to turn the program over to Jill Stark. As I said, Mrs. Stark was married to the president of CMC for she was married for longer, but he was president for 29 years. And Jill, you took over as the Athenaeum director and led many programs. Take it away.
Okay, well, it starts with, I worked at Scripps College and I was the dean of freshmen, and I also taught in the humanities program. And Scripps was doing a lot of cost cutting. So, and I was pregnant with our 4th child. So I asked to be relieved of my dean's job, but I still taught there. And one of the things that Scripps had gotten rid of was this humanities program. So in June of 1969, I got a note saying, we no longer need your services at Scripps. It had 3 spelling mistakes in it, which is my favorite part of the note. And so Jack came home that night and I said, Jack, I have some news for you. And he said, well, I have some news for you. And I said, well, I go first. Honey, I've lost my job at Scripps and I wonder if I should look for something else for our finances. And he said, well, my news is I've been made interim president of Claremont Men's College, and I'm going to be paid $22,000 a year. Now, most of you listening to that are going to think, oh, but this was 1969, and you could have a big family and live very comfortably on Jack's salary. But he said, so you don't need to work, but I want you to volunteer for me to start this new Athenaeum program. And you can do anything you want. You'll love it. You're just going to love this year, Jill. And so I thought, 3 children, another on the way, but I'll try. And my gosh, I had so much fun. The first thing I did was did everything Scripps didn't do anymore. The biggest thing was tea with homemade cookies. So my Rice Krispie treat recipe arrived with me. And then dining room tables with tablecloths, real cutlery, nice plates, that all came right away. And then I want to tell you quickly about our 2 first speakers. The first speaker was Nigel Nicholson, and his dad, Harold, was a huge diplomat from England. And his mother was Vita Sackwell West. And he had found some letters, and on the plane, he read that his mother had had a lesbian affair with Virginia Woolf. And so unbeknownst to me, this first speaker, I'm sure at CMC, they had never said the word lesbian. The first speaker talked about finding these letters to the darling 30 students who were there with faculty and how he felt about it. Now he was like 35 and his mother had already died, I think, but how he felt about it. But our second speaker was Arlene Bloom. And I think CMC had never had a woman speaker. And I'll bet that they hadn't really. And we didn't have very many speakers. I wanted a speaker every single week. So every single day of the week. So Arlene comes and she's a scientist from Berkeley, and she leads a women's team up Annapurna Mountain, first women's team. And her book is called A Woman's Place is on the Top. So the CMC students, God, I loved them in those days. They were so naughty. They had a t-shirt that said a woman's place is on the top. Then they had a little mountain, and then they had a little castle. And the castle had a little banner that said Scripps College. Well, the dean called me and said, get rid of those t-shirts, burn them. So the news was out, we were in trouble. The next day, the t-shirt came out, go explore the frigid north. Little mountain, little castle, little Scripps College. So those are the types of naughty things that I would do in the Athenaeum. So now I'm going to introduce Priya, who is the second wife of a president of CMC to also, she's the first wife, but the second time to be the Athenaeum director. So Priya, you're on.
There were two other course directors.
Thank
I know,
you,
but it wasn't-
Jill. Thank you so much, Jill. So as far as I know, I'm the first and only wife thus far of Hiram, at least as far as P tells me. So I'm good with that. So welcome everyone. I am so happy to be on this call with you. I can't wait to meet all of you in person. I know it's been a tough stretch for certainly the students and certainly the parents, because I have children who are, well, they're young adults now, they're out of college, but I know how important it was for them to go off to school. And I know how important it was for me as a parent and for Hiram as a parent to meet their friends and to meet the parents of their friends and just know that it's about to happen. I mean, I just feel it. I think we all feel it. So we've just got to keep our eye on the ball and look to the summer, get our vaccines. I got my first shot on Friday. I'm feeling great. My arm was a little sore, but all is good now. So I know we're getting there. So let me tell you about the Athenaeum. It is really the center. I mean, Jill did a really wonderful job telling naughty stories, but what she didn't say is what an institution she built. I mean, let's just put it that way. I mean, I really am like riding on the, I'm on the shoulders of a giant with Jill and her predecessor, Bonnie. So I'm very grateful for that. The Ath really, I mean, we think of it, obviously it's tea, you guys are enjoying your Rice Krispie treats, but it really is a place where we all come together. I mean, not just the students for the talks, which is how we sort of tend to know it as parents, but it's kind of a clearinghouse. Students are going in and out of there all day long. There's tea in the afternoon. It's a chance to meet faculty and other students and staff who you wouldn't necessarily get to meet otherwise. And it's just a place to put your feet down, get some tea, coffee, see your buddies, and then to come back a little bit later, maybe to hear a talk. So I'm just going to show you a very quick slideshow to give you some highlights of the Athenaeum. I know we'll have questions. I think we're saving them for the end. And then we can go from there. So I'm going to share my screen, and where is it? Here we go. Share. Okay. So, yikes, pre-pandemic Athenaeum, but this is what it looked like, and it's going to look like it again. I just know it. We'll just have to, it'll be kind of an adjustment, but we're going to get there. So for the events that were huge events, we literally had wait lists of people wanting to get in, and we would put chairs up in the back so that people who couldn't get into the dinner because capacity issues with dinner would at least be able to come hear their, the speaker after the dinner. Oops, let me just go down, sorry. Whoa, what am I doing here? Okay, let me talk about the head table. I know that that's something that is really meaningful to students and for parents who maybe don't know what it is or want to get more details. So essentially, when students sign up for an Ath Talk, they can sign up to sit at the head table with the speaker only. And only students can get to sit at the head table. There is no faculty, there is no president, there is no trustee. So it's really a wonderful way for students to get to know the person that is speaking that night. And students are motivated for different reasons. It might just be that they're really interested in that topic. It might just be that there's something about that person's journey that really resonates with them. There's many different reasons for it, but we always have tremendous demand for the head table. And it really is an honor to sit with the speaker and the two Athenaeum fellows who host the speaker and break bread with the speaker. So that's like a wonderful plus that I think that For other colleges, when they have a speaker series, usually it's the speaker coming into a big auditorium, speaking to a bunch of people sitting in seats, and possibly never even engaging with students. So this is an incredibly special thing that we offer. Students love taking notes at these events. I mean, many students really treat the Ath as like the 5th class that, or the extra class that they don't have to have an exam for. So they take it seriously. They come in with their Ath notes or Ath notebooks, and they take copious notes, and they ask tough questions. I will have people tell me that they have never had better questions before. I remember some years ago there was a professor from Harvard Law School who told me later that his Harvard law students don't ask the types of questions that our students do. So I'm really proud of the students. It's a skill that I think CMC students have, but that they also develop at the Ath. They gain the confidence to stand up and ask a great question. There's nothing like the art of a great civil question. Not every Ath Talk is serious. People have a lot of fun at Ath Talks, but even for the non-serious Ath Talks, like we have performances, we'll have musicians, we'll have a play. Students still somehow ask great questions about the person's journey, about the person's process. So it really is a diverse portfolio of events and speakers that we bring to campus. And then just the last couple of slides, tea is more than Rice Krispie treats. Yes, this is what your students would eat if they were on campus. There are chocolate covered strawberries, there are cookies, there are brownies, there's all kinds of tea, there's all kinds of coffee. They are so spoiled. This is why they want to stay in college. I mean, I don't blame them. So. And then in general, though, the Ath really does have great food. I mean, we have a brilliant chef. Jill, correct me if I'm wrong, but Dave Skinner has been with us for almost 30 years. He has transformed the menu at the Athenaeum. What he tries to do is oh wait, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Also, final note, completely free of charge for everyone. So I'm gonna stop this share now, and that way you guys we can all come back. So David Skinner has been at the Ath for about almost 30 years. He has a staff of about 5 full-time kitchen staff workers, sous chefs, et cetera, including a pastry chef. And then we have an army of students that works for us. I mean, literally an army. We have about 100 student employees per semester. And the reason that we need all these student employees is that we need people to help serve. We need people to help check people in. We need people to serve tea at the sit-down events. And to give you a sense, I'm going to use my little cheat sheet here. The last full year that we were in operation, which was obviously 2018, 2019, because last academic year we got, we had to send everyone home. But in the previous year, 2018, 2019, we had 122 speaker events. Other events, non-speaker events, because we do other things at the Ath. We have faculty have the option to have dinner with each class that they teach once a semester, and almost every faculty member avails themselves of this. So if you're teaching a class at CMC, you can basically say, I'm going to have my students over to one of the smaller rooms at the Ath. There are 2 smaller rooms in addition to the big room that most people are familiar with, and you have a faculty student dinner. And clubs can avail themselves of the smaller rooms for dinner, as well as sort of planning exercise. If they want to celebrate something, if they've got a new roster of officers, etc. But anyway, so the other events, 122 speaker events, 155 total events that year. Total meals, sit-down meals that we served at the Ath that year was 16,340, of which we served 10,000 meals to students and others at speaker events. And so we have, we really, when on a daily basis, we have about 120 bodies that come through for Ath Tea. So we are a very busy place. We rely on our student workers to help us with all of that. It's a great job. Many of them will, actually several of them have gone into sort of the cooking business after they've worked in the kitchen, because they were sort of sous chefs and got interested in that. And they, they get to hear the speaker, they get to have a dinner, the dinner, they serve, they get to see their friends. So it really is a great job for students. But finally, to close this out so that we can go out into our breakout rooms and discuss this a little bit more, the chef, one of the things he really likes to do is align the menu with the talk or with the speaker, or something that speaks to the menu, speaking to the actual event that's happening. So if you were having a speaker that was going to be speaking on something happening in China, he might actually serve up a meal that was, that sort of spoke to that cuisine. He makes everything from Chinese food to Indian food to your traditional sort of more Western fare. And he is very ingenious and he loves experimenting. So the idea that we have here in our breakout groups is that perhaps we can talk about in our breakout groups about traditions, both culinary and otherwise. If you don't have a strong culinary tradition, that's fine. We're always looking for great stories to share. So if we can come up, maybe we can discuss sort of favorite culinary traditions that everyone has. And then if you would like to, you can send me an email, or any of us on this, any of the staff on this call, an email with the recipe. And then when school starts again in the fall, I'm going to ask Dave Skinner to fool around with recipes. And maybe for next parent weekend, we will serve up for the parent event where parents come to the Ath. We'll try to serve up some of the recipes that you guys all help us think about. So that's kind of the idea. And then we'll publicize the recipes also on our Instagram and on our Facebook as a parent recipe. So it's just, it's kind of an idea for the breakout. So there we go. Jeannie, I'm sorry. I think I took way too much time. All right.
No problem at all. So yeah, what we're going to do now is go into our breakout rooms. We are going to be placed regionally. California will be by itself because that's a larger group. And then each group will have either Priya, Evan, or John will lead the group. There'll be other staff, and it's just going to be casual. We'll get to know each other. Everyone's going to introduce themselves, and we'll talk about maybe some special traditions or recipes that have been impactful in all of your lives that we might be able to bring here to CMC. So are we ready? At the end, we will all come back. So.
Hi, everyone. This is Paulina from the Office of Events. I just wanted to get on really quickly to see if maybe we needed help or if we needed to assign someone on the back end. Just want to make sure that you're all in the rooms that you're supposed to be in. So if we could assign you to a room, just let us know. And the rooms are broken out by, by like demographics. So we have West Coast, California, and then we have East Coast and then a Midwest. So I just want to make sure everyone's all set. So if you have any questions, you can just shoot us a message in the chat or just holler and we'll come back on the screen to help you wherever you need to be.
Back on mute. How do you guys go? I think you go into the chat. No, what is it? Just put where should Idaho be?
Oh, sorry. Is there anything I can help you with? We don't have to talk to the chat. We can talk.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no problem. I was just.
Garrett, are we muted or not muted? I'm just trying to get in where Idaho is.
Okay. Let me just double check the room for Idaho. Miriam, would you mind assigning Peter to room number 2 with Evan?
Oh, good, we'll get to see Evan.
Yeah, they should have gotten a notification that asks you to join the breakout
And
room.
I think we didn't, so we kind of screwed it up.
Oh, okay. Let me troubleshoot on my back end. 1 second.
What's in here?
They have a Athenaeum
You should have. You really messed it up.
I wonder if you could hit join breakout room. There you go. Click it.
Is it still just us?
I think we made it back first. We were fast.
Oh, okay.
You were talking about soups. I don't know how you say it. The mulligatawny soup. I had that when I was working at Douglas College, and I thought it was amazing. It's the first time I ever had it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like sweet, but filling and creamy.
Yeah. It's very like satisfying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My family is actually like partly Lebanese. So
Mhm.
my mom always made grape leaves and actually picked the grape leaves from the farm. And
Oh
like,
my gosh.
she would like, to get rid of the stems, blanch them
Yeah.
and freeze them. So even in the
Yeah.
winter, make a
Yeah. That is such, Lebanese cuisine is such a rich tradition as well. I mean, so many amazing dishes and flavors, you know?
Well, that was so much fun.
Yeah.
Loved our group. A lot of great food diversity.
Yeah, we had a good
Yeah.
discussion as well.
Yeah.
Priya, do you want to lead us in a bit of a share out? I think we're all back.
Yeah, of course. I'm like waving at people. Sorry. I see a couple of students. Hi, Salodi.
Hi, Priya.
Yeah, so we had a great discussion. We talked about traditions, and we had a few not so much recipes, but just ideas around food that we shared. I talked about kind of a blending of cultural heritage food from Hiram and from my side of the family. As I mentioned to everyone in my group, I'm of Indian origin, South Asian origins, grew up eating Indian food. And one thing that Hiram and I we've adapted a lot of things, but one of our favorites that the kids also really love is potato latkes, but sort of Indianized. And so you put like fresh cilantro and chilies and cumin and serve it up with a raita or like green chutney, which is super, super good. And we shared a conversation about Nigerian soups and stews, and Ganyat is going to send me some kind of like a entry-level Nigerian soup recipe for the chef to try for our soup selection, which I was telling my group that we always have 2 really good soups that are served up every night, and we're always looking to diversify those. So that's kind of from our group. Unfortunately, one of our persons probably lost internet or something, and was about to tell us about how she's been hosting several CMC students at her house in Tennessee, and how much those boys eat. I guess it's a group of young men, and then the internet died on her, I think. So we were sad I think she was about to share a recipe. Maybe she'll come back. So anyways, anyone else in their group have something fun and exciting that popped out that might be a great tradition for CMC to think about, or a great culinary dish for the chef to try out at some point?
Yeah, Priya, the California group had a nice discussion. It was a big group. It took a while for us to all introduce ourselves. But I thought I might ask James to tell us about the recipe that they suggested, which sounds like it would be a fun thing to do and would be good for vegetarians as well as meat eaters.
Great.
So our recipe so far in the pandemic, we started this up, is a ramen bowl. So it's all fully custom made. So you start with the basic chicken or beef broth or whatever you want, and then spice that, and then start adding everything, the pulled pork and the noodles. And then the toppings is where you can really make it personal. So really to fit your taste, everything from carrots to jalapenos to sesame seeds. And it can be as simple or as complicated as you want. And that customizability is a really great feature of the recipe. That's great.
Thank you. I will share that with Chef Dave. He more and more, I think customizing is a great way. It's kind of like building your own bowl, whether it's kind of a noodle dish or one of these rice bowls. I mean, it's such a great way to make sure that everyone has a variety of things that they are comfortable eating, or that they don't have allergies to, or what have you. So that's a great way to sort of expand our options, because we want to make sure that we're also if you make something and you just give someone a bowl of noodles, then maybe there's things in there that they wouldn't eat. So this is a great way to work around that. So thank you, James.
Rebecca put something in the chat. One of our parents has a family tradition of back to school spaghetti and meatballs, bit of an Italian family. That was the Contis up in Portland. Ben also learned actually how to cook from Chef Dave when he worked in the Athenaeum. So he was in the kitchen back in, I assume it was like 89, 90. So still 91, still makes one of Chef Dave's recipes. So he won't be submitting that one, but I think if we get the meatball recipe, whatever your mixture is, that's pretty wonderful. Please do.
Yeah, that would be great.
Share.
Yes, that's great. Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else want to share out from any of the groups? I know some people didn't get to share out either. I feel bad. So if you want to share out now, you're welcome to. Okay. Before we conclude, we have a couple minutes for Q&A. If you want to ask Priya about the Athenaeum or about how she selects speakers or what the lineup's like for this semester, hopefully you're all joining some of the incredible speakers that are occurring this semester, not this week because we're on break, but they of course return next week. We of course have Jill still with us as well. If you have any questions for Jill, we have a couple minutes to kind of chat about whatever you like. You can just go ahead and unmute or raise your hand or put in the chat. Or Priya, can you preview some speakers for next year? That came in from Anne. Anything yet for next year?
Let's see. I am just starting to build a schedule for next year. And in part, until about 10 days ago, it wasn't even I think all of a sudden many of us sort of see the light at the end of the tunnel now. And it just seems like it's just appeared, maybe in the last 2 weeks. And so I've been hesitant to start building a schedule that wouldn't work. So I do have a couple of people that are starting to gel, but I am completely drawing a blank now. I'm sorry, I should have written it down. I can have Jeannie or Evan send everyone who signed up an email with a couple of highlights. I definitely have a few people, but I'm just drawing a blank now on who they are. Sorry.
Okay, we can share some. A couple other questions came in. How many days a week do you usually host speakers?
Yeah, so now we're talking about non-pandemic times. We have speakers 4 nights a week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and that's in the big room, the room that that I'm sitting in, supposedly. But we also have these 2 smaller rooms, and we often have speakers in those rooms as well. So at least 4 speakers a week, if not somewhere between 4 and 10 speakers, depending on if the other rooms are being occupied. And then we also do lunches at times. So there'll be weeks where we have 15 speakers, So yes, we're pretty busy. And other than as we get closer to finals, students are obviously really busy with their other work. So we tend to taper it down sort of in the last couple of weeks of the semester.
We have a parent from the class of 25, so an incoming parent, asking if attendance is first come, first serve, or is there some kind of system to sign up, or do you just show up? What is that like?
Yeah, so students get an email, students, faculty, staff get the same email once a week. And basically they get the email for events that are opening up basically in 2 weeks' time. So at any time you can be signed up for 2 weeks worth of speakers. And when you get that email, you basically, as a student, faculty, or staff, you basically just have to do a couple of clicks here and there, and you are registered for the event. As a student, at that time, we know that you're a student. You automatically get a link as soon as you register, asking you whether you want to register for the head table. And at that point, you can, if you want to, you can register for the head table. And we have a system, actually, one of my previous Athenaeum fellows wrote up this program where if the head table gets full, and it sometimes will get full, like people know they're gunning to sit at a head table, and they know when the email is going to come out to sign up. So they're literally sitting at their computer waiting for the sign up email. They sign up for an event and they wait for the confirmation email with the head table link in it, and they sign up for that. And I can see all of this. So sometimes I see that the head table is gone within about 15 seconds of it opening. And then you have a wait list for the head table as well. We take up to about 10 people for the wait list. So it is pretty seamless for students, faculty, and staff because they're already kind of signed into our system. So it's pretty easy, yeah.
Thank you, Priya. It's 4:31 here on the West Coast, later for some of you that are out there. So our time has come to say goodbye, but we hope that you join us for future programs. Of course, Athenaeum programs begin virtually next week. We do have, when we're in person next semester, a limited number of seats for alumni and parents at Ath programs at very reasonable prices. I think it's $20 or $25 to join a full meal. There's a wine station, a dessert option. We hope to see you on campus when we can safely gather, and family weekend, not virtually, hopefully next year, but in person over President's Day weekend. As we've mentioned before, these are recorded. These are online for Spring Family Connections, and John also put the recording link for Athenaeum programs. So feel free to reach out. Do share those recipes. I would love to see a new recipe for Family Weekend next year, selected by Priya and Chef Dave. So do send those in. And go ahead and unmute, say hello, say goodbye, and we'll see you next
I
week.
just remembered two speakers, I'll tell you guys. Marty Barron, who just stepped down as editor-in-chief of the Washington Post, is going to be at the Ath. And also at the Ath is going to be Michael Steele, who was the former chairman of the Republican Party. He's going to be at the Ath as well. So we have, and then we have a couple of poets, and we have a CMC alum who teaches at Notre Dame, teaches military history. So sort of coming back to me now.
It's good. It sounds like a great program already, and amazing that you really do have to plan 7, 8, 9 months in advance for all of this. Yeah. Everyone gets so busy. So thank you, Priya. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, John. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.